explained through language nuances. That's just a fancy way of saying that what people value comes out in their language. But even that needs explanation. It's similar to the cliche, you are what you eat, only in this case, you are what you say. Growing up speaking the language, your native language, you generally don't analyze it. You think a thought, the words instantly materialize, and you can communicate. Learning a foreign language, however, involves a lot more thought. Foreign language learners constantly ask why. Why do Russians say it like that? Why do Germans put the verb at the end of the sentence? I never used to have a problem asking my language professors these questions until last week the tables were turned. A professor of mine, whose native language is not English, asked me to explain the difference in all the English words for laughter. Until that point, I hadn't given a thought to just how many words in English there are for laughter. There's chuckle, snicker, snort, chortle, whinny, guffaw, cackle, and more than I am probably missing. I tried to explain the difference to her, and I butchered it. So instead of a verbal explanation, she had me get in front of the class and chuckle, giggle, and guffaw, so she could hear the difference. This professor of mine is an anthropologist from Poland. Specifically, she studies the different cultures around the world and how their words and languages reflect this culture. You might think that between English and Polish there's direct translations for chuckle and snicker, but there's not. So why do the Americans and the other English speakers make these differences? Look at American culture. Happiness and enjoyment are very important aspects of American culture in their daily life. In the U.S. Constitution, man has the right to the pursuit of happiness. Every Hollywood movie has a happy ending. People on the streets pass each other and they smile and wish each other a good day. This doesn't happen in all other cultures. So because of this value, throughout the years, the English language has developed distinctions. Negative emotions aren't important in American culture. Take sadness, for example. A person who's sad in American culture will do everything they can to try to be happy again. They don't embrace their sadness. Russian, on the other hand, has 3 words for sadness that I know of. And they all translate into English as sadness. And anybody familiar with Russian history or Russian geography might understand how long, cold, bleak Russian winters have influenced generations and generations of Russian thought. They make a difference between the sadness that comes from the desperation and longing from being cooped up all winter and the sadness that comes from a family member dying. In English, these are all sad, but Russian has the different words for it. Another example of Russian language reflecting the mentality is the word счастье. And счастье in English translates to happiness or luck, depending on the context. What does it say about Russian mentality that happiness and luck are the same word? As a Russian friend explained it to me, Russians believe that you're either born lucky and destined to be happy, or you're born unlucky and you're doomed to be sad. Every language in the world has this phenomena. If something is very important in their daily life, it will come through in the language. This is why the Alaskan Eskimos have so many words for snow. They make a difference between fluffy white snow and heavy, watered-down snow, but English speakers only have slush and snow, because winter is not such a big deal in English-speaking life. In the Serbian culture, they have many, many words for family relations that we don't have in English. In English, we just say uncle, and people have to say, oh, is it your dad's brother or is it your mother's brother? But in Serbian, they actually have a separate word for a mother's brother or a father's brother. And this reflects the fact that family is very important in Serbian culture. It is important in American culture too, but it's not one of our main values. The lack of direct translation between languages is what makes learning a foreign language such a daunting task. People do not just memorize lists of flat vocabulary. Some words come with boatloads of baggage in tow. A single word can prompt a discussion about an entire culture's history, politics, social traditions, their religion, and much more. Or, speaking about culture-specific words, can just prompt the professor to force a student to giggle and snicker in front of a class. But either way, we learn about the complex world behind words.